Hey guys, how's it going? This is Ellington, and today I am bringing to you a fun little battle type that I came up with called Grand Commanders. So the way this battle type works is we have a 4v4, so 4 players on each side, and instead of each player having one whole army by themselves, actually each player is going to be commanding a section of one army. So in reality, we basically just have one big army instead of 4 separate ones. So on one side, we've got myself as the infantry here. Then, as the cavalry here, we've got Dave the vassal. Our grand commander is Silent Fart, and our archers is commanded by Son of Bear. So the way this is going to work is Silent Fart, as our grand commander, is going to be giving us the orders of what to do with our men. If he tells Dave to send Cav over here, Dave's got to send Cav over there. If he tells Dave to send Cav over here, that's what he's got to do. He has to kind of give us orders of where he wants our archers and our infantry to be lined up and stuff like that. It was a very interesting perspective to kind of have to wait for the orders. But it's actually a lot of fun and really threw in a very different like tone to the fight. Now, on the other side, so as you can see, we are playing Swaby. Sorry, that I should have said that first. We're playing Swaby on our side, and then our enemies over here is going to be Egypt. Now, on their team, their infantry is commanded by Anonymous. Their archers are commanded by Dio. Their cav is commanded by Deviantic D, and their grand commander is Dagger. So as you can see, they've kind of got set up in this little forest over here. So we're basically going to be meeting up in this middle here, just as we advance on each other. So in my army, on the front line here, I've got basically a front line of, I think it's 6 oaths, bloodsworn. So that's going to be my front line there, and it's going to be backed up by a unit of Spear Brothers holding this flank, some Club Levy that are a little bumped up, a little upgraded, and then some Sword Masters that include my General. And then I do have another Spear Brother on this side, once again, to kind of help support the flanks of the Bloodsworn. Now, backing me up, I've got this is the Longbow Hunters. Now, the cool thing about Longbow Hunters is they have a stock. So even though they're out here in the open, the enemy can't actually see them, which is pretty handy. Bear here is gonna have a lot of fun with those, I think. He also has 3 units of Horse Runners, which are a javelin unit. And then back here I do have 2 units of Night Hunters, which are also a unit with stock. It's a spear unit that's pretty good anti-cav. Now Dave back here, he's got 2 Riders of the Hunt, which is a light melee cav. There's another one on the flank there. And then on this side, he's got his Noble Riders. Noble Riders are a much heavier melee cav, so they're pretty good in combat. This light cav on the flanks here are really just going to be out doing some scouting. Now, unfortunately, we can't see most of Egypt's force, or probably about half of it we can't see. We can see that they've got, let's see, some Thorax Swords, Royal Peltis, Thorax Swords, some Hellenic Royal Guard, so that's good front line right there, Thorax Swords, and then another Hellenic Royal Guard. So it looks like kind of a typical core Hellenic faction with a lot of Thorax Swords with some elite units backing them up. And then we can see a couple archers. Let's see. Nubian Bowmen, Peltis, Nubian Bowmen. The downside to some of these Hellenic factions is a lot of their best archers are mercenary Cretan archers, and you can only bring 3 of those. So unfortunately, they had to kind of think of some different archer or range units to bring instead. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. This is actually a pretty quick battle, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and let's see how it goes. So right off the bat, you'll see we have our cav moving in on the right and left side. Basically going to move up to these forests and check our flanks, see what's going on over there, because then we can respond, you know, and see, take cav over there or send my night hunters, something like that, to help counter whatever's coming on our flanks. As you can see right now, we're just taking a nice easy advance, just marching forward. We're not running or anything. Got the archers behind the front lines here. We were using different colors of markers for each of the types of units. So I was using green, the archers were using blue, and the cav was using red. It really helped kind of give us an idea of who was saying what. Oh, look at you there. So on the left side, it looks like our Riders of the Hunt have actually scouted out some enemy cav. It's a combination of light cav and medium melee, and then backing them up, we might have something a little heavier. Look like some sort of like Lancer unit. So Dave is moving a lot of his cav over here to help kind of counter that. Now the issue is that on the other side, this light cav also scouted out some units. So light cav, Egyptian cav, and Egyptian cav. Now these units aren't as tough, but it's still something we got to be worried about. Now that is a tough unit. The Ptolemaic cav, that's a tough unit that we don't really want to mess with. So what we're doing is on this side, we've got a couple units of cav moving over, and then I'm moving my night hunters to help this side as well. Since we have so much cav over here, I figure we might. Silent has had me send our my night hunters to go help this flank instead. So now our archers have moved up in front of our infantry. It doesn't look like they're quite in range yet, but the enemy is starting to march forward. So honestly, right now we're just kind of waiting for the command from Silent, and it looks like he gave it. So Silent has had him move his archers forward into kind of into a volley position. Now, because they couldn't see our archers and where they were, their archers and peltas are way in the back here, and so we're actually going to get kind of the initiative here by getting the first volleys. And Silent really specified, he's like, don't focus on one thing because it'll ruin the formation. So he's having him target the units that are directly in front of the army, which is really helping kind of keep this formation good, and we're really getting a lot of good volleys here. Looks like the cav on the flanks is staying pretty quiet for now, which is good. It means that we can really focus on this. Now, it does look like Egypt is starting to move forward his archers to help counter. His Hellenic Royal Guard is really taking a beating. He really needs to get these archers a lot closer up to help counter this, otherwise his front line's just going to get peppered down. Now, I must say that this was like our second time trying this battle, and for some of us, or for some of the people on either team, it was actually the first time trying the battle. So it's something that we're still getting used to. It's a very tough battle type to kind of get used to, and it's going to take some time. And then also it really requires whoever the Grand Commander, it really needs to be a really good at micromanaging other people. So that the archer fight is really solidly going in our favor. We're breaking some units or having some units break, but we've done a lot of damage to that front line there, so I think that exchange has been absolutely good for us. Cav on the flanks is still going pretty slow. They're not really doing anything. So it really looks like right now the main concentration is right here in the archer fight, which is incredibly important. If we gain the range advantage, that really assists us in the later game. So it looks like Silent had actually given me the command, these 3 club levy. So the thing about Swaby is Swaby uses scare tactics. So they're a very, very aggressive faction. His club levy are technically a very weak unit, but they're slightly upgraded, which makes them a little better. So really, these units that they're going to go up against are already pretty damaged. So I kind of already have a good advantage here. So you can see they threw in their javelins first, and they're just going to charge straight in and try and see if we can't beat these thorax swords. Now they are getting some really good supporting fire from their back lines here, from like the Royal Peltis, these Peltis units here. Let's see, combat even, you know, for a thorax sword against a club levy, like that's not something that's very typical. As you can see over here, they actually like just completely routed the 2 units they were up against. And so my command was, Silent commanded me just charge straight into the next unit. His main thing that he gave us was just keep charging straight. Not moving in angles like this, but keeping our lines moving straight forward. So if they broke through, just move to the next one, just move to the next one. And it actually seemed to work pretty effectively. Now it does look like the 2 infantry lines are starting to get a little closer, although the Egyptian attack here is pretty, it's just a little, you know, it's not very even. They're just very spread out, very kind of sparse with the troops they're sending in. You really should be moving your infantry line in much more solidly. Otherwise, you're just kind of throwing 1 or 2 guys into the fray. So, like, you got these guys in combat. They're already losing decisively. Now you're going to get these guys in combat, and they're almost dead. These guys are just standing here. You really want to have these units all moving up together to attack the front line as one. Now, looks like we did have some cav that moved in on this side. Because it looks like they maybe got a few of the archers, and that's probably why we ended up falling the archers back. Dave's got his Riders of the Hunt helping support that. Now over here, it looks like the 2 cav units are really just kind of looking at each other, waiting for, probably waiting for one of the 2 to be distracted. You know, over here we've got a pretty solid fight going on. You know, it's got the Ptolemaic cav and the Egyptian cav facing off against one of the noble rider generals and a rider of the hunt, but then I do have my Night Hunters here in the mix. The Night Hunters have an ability called counter cavalry tactics, which is extremely effective against cavalry. So they're really just kind of helping as a support unit that's backing up our cav over here, trying to hold the flanks. Now, I've been given the command to move forward. So once again, my command was units move straight ahead, straight ahead, straight ahead. So I'm not moving this way, I'm not moving this way, I'm moving right into the first unit. So these units are going to be clicking straight into this thorax sword, straight into the general. But it's also allowing my for Bear's archers to start moving forward and start getting shots as well. Because otherwise they were kind of stuck behind the front line back there. As you can see, we're already starting to break people. Once again, that's kind of that's Swaby's bread and butter is fear factor and scare tactics, breaking units instead of like just straight up killing them. Now my sword masters are still holding in reserve. If I was Egypt, I would either have these thorax swords moving into the sword masters or moving around to flank this unit. One of the 2. Unfortunately, he's still just got them sitting there. Our archers are still doing a pretty good job at just really keeping the Egyptian army at bay. And then our front line is just really... Honestly, on both sides, a lot of stuff has died. You know, I'm actually running out of troops here. I really don't have a lot of infantry left. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 infantry left, and they've got quite a bit of archer support back here. They've got some Hellenic Royal Guard, Royal Peltis, another Hellenic Royal Guard, and then a lot of archer support. Now, one of my Bloodsworn did actually get all the way back to these trees and is wreaking some havoc in the back lines here. Egypt actually had to send in one of their generals to support that to get them down. Over here, it does look like our cav is winning this fight. Egypt's Ptolemaic cav is still alive, but they're all by themselves. So we got the 2 Night Hunters and then a bunch of cav over here just waiting to kind of clean them up. My Spear Brother unit is just kind of sitting here once again watching the flank. And then I do have a unit of Berserkers and my general that are back this way. Although it does look like I got the command to have my general move into combat. The archers are still just wreaking havoc. But now we can see their other units, their mercenary Cretan archers. The mercenary Cretan archers have a lot better range than we do. So while we can shoot their front lines, they can actually shoot all the way past and shoot our archers, which is not good for us. I have a bunch of units that are in combat here with this thorax sword. Really, I should have been moving something around to flank around it. We were really trying to kind of go by the way of, we have a Grand Commander, so that Grand Commander is the person in charge. They need to be the ones giving the orders. So we really were trying not to individually move units without a command for it. Just trying to keep it real and, have fun with that little mechanic of, kind of having a hand tied behind your back. It actually make it really, really interesting. And if you guys are interested in this kind of combat, comment on it and let me know. I can really expand a little more on the kind of the rules that we played with, the money types that we played with, how many units you could use, things like that. I can expand upon that because this was a lot of fun, and I think it'd be a fun thing to do again. I went to go charge my general in here, and then I realized that it was a Hellenic Royal Guard, and I was like, nope. So Silent gave the command for these archers to just lay into it, and they're just going to just unfortunately tear this thing to pieces because they're completely exposed. My general's now using his javelins on it, and unfortunately, you could see that it's getting pretty sparse over here. This cav fight over here, you could see is pretty much done. Looks like the Egyptian cav just got overwhelmed with between the Swaby cav and the Spear brothers. The front line here, Swordmasters is still doing pretty good. 118 kills, 98 kills. Still kind of just keeping this thorax sword tied up. My berserkers are still back here. I think we kind of forgot about them. When you're micromanaging a lot of that different stuff, it actually is kind of hard, especially for Silent when he's looking all over the battlefield at different things. Sometimes you can miss those things. I know at some point I inform him of it. Back in the back, we got some more cav play happening here. Let's see, Camel Spearmen versus Noble Riders. Now those Camel Spearmen looks like they were already pretty hurt, so unfortunately they're just gonna drop pretty quick here. See, they're losing decisively, and now there's another unit of Noble Riders coming in to kind of clean that mess up. So our Cav really won that fight. Cav is extremely important on these field battles because when you lose your Cav, you lose all flexibility, all maneuverability, and the enemy Cav at that point can just sweep all around you, and it's extremely hard to fight a head-to-head fight when you've got Cav that's wrapping around your flanks and getting into your archers, getting into your back lines. It can make it extremely hard to do that. So, yeah, I mean, you can tell that this fight's, unfortunately, it's already done. Everything's starting to break. The Ptolemaic Cav is basically the only fully healthy unit they have left. Egypt, once again, this is a new battle type that we were all new to, so we didn't really know exactly how it was going to go. But I think it's something that I personally plan on expanding some more on this and having more fun with it, playing with more people, getting new people in the Grand Commander position. All right, Noble Rider versus Ptolemaic Cav. Honestly, Ptolemaic Cav is one head-to-head probably wins this fight, but with the support that they've got, they just no way. Archer support, their morale is already weak, so fortunately that's going to be something that's just going to break pretty quick. But yeah, guys, I'd love to hear your responses on what you think of the video, what you think of the battle type, if you think it's a fun idea. Let's look at the kills. Now, this is going to be a little skewed with the kills, so you got to remember that each of us only has a portion of the army. So Dave here only got 568 kills, but he didn't have a ton of units. So 125, 204, 91, 53, but you can see that's his general. He didn't get in combat that much. And then, of course, his weaker units didn't get quite as many kills. But for the Cav, I'd say that's pretty good. Now, Silent, as the Grand Commander, We decided the Grand Commander could only bring his one general unit, and we also made the rule that if the Grand Commander General dies, then that player cannot say anything else. He can't help. He can't point anything out. He can't give commands. So Silent, pretty much kept his general kind of back in the back for most of the battle because he didn't want to get it exposed. Now myself, 207 on the Sword Masters, 190, 119. Bloodsworn all did pretty solid, 126, 196. Now, of course, my Spear Brothers, Night Hunters, they did, weren't quite in his combat as much. My Berserkers I probably could have done a little better with. This was actually my first time playing a Swaby, so I didn't I wasn't too comfortable with how they worked, but having Silent, who this is one of his favorite factions, he really helped me learn a little bit more on how to play these guys. Now, Son of Bear, he was the archer commander, so 135, 140, 165. The nice thing was with these guys, they're super cheap, so we were able to bring a lot more of them. Now, unfortunately, each of us, had to bring a commander unit, a general unit. Um, Now, as the archers, you don't typically have an archer commander, so he just brought a noble rider for that. Now, on the Egyptian side, Dio here, he was the archer commander, brought a Peltist unit as his commander. And his archers, especially the Cretans, did pretty good. Now, these Nubian bowmen are not a great quality unit, so you'd see a big drop in their kills, except for that guy, 131. That's pretty good right there. Now, Dagger was the head, like the lead guy, 215 kills. I think he ended up sending his general in um, towards the end of the battle there, and he got a lot of kills, so that was really good on him. But you can see he did die. Now, Deviantic, he was the Cav general. Unfortunately, it doesn't. His Cav unfortunately did not do great. His Ptolemaic Cav looks like they probably got focused down. His general did pretty good, 134 kills, but the light Cav and the Egyptian Cav they unfortunately didn't do very well, so they lost that Cav fight. Now the infantry, um, so here's some things here. The Hellenic Royal Guard, 40 kills, 3 kills. They got focused down by archers. I think that was a little premature putting them in. Royal Pelt is 164 and 86. That's solid. It's not as good as I would like to see on a Royal Peltis, but it's all right. 221 for the thorax swords. That's pretty good. I'd take that. 130, 122. You could see that a lot of his stuff really got focused down early. Um, and they spend a lot of money on expensive stuff. I probably would have maybe dropped these guys to thorax pikes instead. Um, Maybe get rid of a Royal Peltis. That would give you a few more thorax swords, maybe some Thorough spears. That might help that out a little bit. But once again, I mean, it was a blast. I really enjoyed this, and I plan on doing it some more. And if I do any more, then I'll definitely show you guys. But yeah, thanks for coming by and watching the video. Um, hit the like button, comment. I'd love to talk to you guys, see what your thoughts are. If you guys have suggestions on, different rule types or anything you'd like to see, just let me know. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.